The day after our engagement was finalized, the Shadow Wolves celebrated the annual Full Moon Festival, a grand event for the pack. Moonlight bathed the stage, which served as the heart of the celebration. At its center was a massive stone altar holding ceremonial goblets and offerings dedicated to the moon goddess. Behind the stage loomed a towering Ferris wheel, its lights twinkling against the night sky. In one corner of the festival grounds, Ryan Trivett leaned casually against an ancient tree, a silver goblet in hand. He was boasting to his friends about his latest hunting exploits. The moment I stepped into the bustling festival, his friend, Blake Glisson, was the first to notice me. "Hey Ryan, your little shadow is here again," Blake said with a grin, his teasing tone drawing laughter from the nearby wolves. "You guys are engaged already, and she's still trailing after you like a pup," someone else chimed in. Ryan turned his head and spotted me, a flash of irritation crossing his face. "Alice, are you so desperate to get married?" he said coldly, his voice dripping with contempt. "You went ahead and got our families to finalize the engagement without even asking me. Now the whole pack knows we're supposed to get married. Really great job." His scornful words stung, but I quickly steadied myself, lifting my chin to meet his golden gaze. "Ryan, I didn't need your permission," I said firmly, my voice steady. "Because I'm not marrying you." The crowd fell silent for a moment before erupting into laughter. Blake laughed the hardest, doubling over as if he couldn't breathe. "Ryan, you'd better sweet-talk your little fiancée before she pulls another stunt to get your attention." Ryan's expression darkened, his eyes narrowing as he stared me down. His voice dropped, laced with barely restrained anger. "Alice, what is this? Some new tactic to play hard to get?" he hissed. "If you're marrying into my family, who else could you marry but me? And don't forget, you've been saying you'd marry me since you were a kid. The entire pack already considers you mine." He stepped closer, leaning in until his breath brushed my ear. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper, carrying the threat of a predator. "As for the wedding, I can give you the grand ceremony you've always wanted. But the mate bond? That's reserved for the one who's truly mine." I stared at him in shock. Could it be? Before I could press him further, a familiar figure appeared at the entrance to the festival. It was my cousin Willow Hawkins. She was dressed in a pale blue gown, her eyes rimmed with red as tears threatened to spill. The moment she saw Ryan and me standing together, her tears broke free, sliding down her cheeks. "Alice, Ryan," she whispered, her voice trembling and barely audible. "I heard you're getting married soon. I don't have any money to buy Alice the expensive gifts she deserves, so I just want to wish you both happiness." Before she could finish, she turned and ran toward the river, tears streaming down her face. "Look at what you've done," Ryan snapped, spinning to glare at me. His golden eyes blazed with fury. Without another word, he turned and chased after her, leaving me standing there alone. When they returned, their fingers were interlocked as they strolled to the center of the festival grounds. Willow's mouth was swollen and red, while Ryan bore several conspicuous kiss marks on his neck. The crowd's gazes were laced with amusement, waiting to see my reaction. In the past, whenever I saw another woman acting intimately with Ryan, I'd inevitably throw a fit, clinging to him and demanding his attention. But this time, I merely stood in the corner, quietly watching them while savoring a delicious raspberry tart. Ryan positioned Willow protectively behind him, his gaze briefly flicking to me. A trace of confusion flashed in his eyes, but it was soon replaced by a mocking smirk. "Looks like you've grown up this time," he sneered. "At least you're not throwing a tantrum like before." I didn't bother to respond. Instead, I casually finished the last bite of my tart and turned to leave. Every year during the full moon festival, I'd make it a point to ride the Ferris wheel. It had always been my favorite attraction since I was little. In the past, I'd drag Ryan along with me, but this year, I didn't. To my surprise, after the celebration ended, Ryan intercepted me. "Don't you ride the Ferris wheel every year? Let's go. I'll go with you." I glanced at him but said nothing, turning on my heel to leave. At that moment, Willow clung to Ryan's arm with a bright smile, her voice syrupy and coy. "Ryan, I want to ride the Ferris wheel too. The moon is so full tonight, it'll be so romantic." Ryan hesitated, his eyes lingering on me as though waiting for my reaction. Ignoring them both, I walked toward the Ferris wheel alone. Just as I was about to board, Ryan and Willow caught up, insisting on sharing the same gondola. Inside the small cabin, an awkward silence settled over us. Willow, however, soon broke it with a laugh. She deliberately sat close to Ryan, leaning against him as she spoke in a sugary tone. "Ryan, this Ferris wheel is so high up, it's making me nervous." Without a word, I remained seated across from them, my gaze fixed on the star-studded night sky beyond the window. "Don't be scared. I'm here," Ryan reassured her, his voice so tender it grated on my nerves. Emboldened, Willow giggled and grabbed his wrist, pressing herself even closer. "Ryan, your hands are so warm. Could you help me apply my lipstick? I want to look good for pictures later." Ryan took the lipstick she handed him. The two leaned in so close that their breaths mingled. Willow tilted her head, slightly opening her mouth, her tongue darting out to wet them in a way that was undeniably provocative. "Ryan, you're so bad, don't mess it up," she teased, her voice cloyingly sweet. Their eyes locked, the space between them shrinking until their breaths grew uneven. Then suddenly, Ryan's gaze snapped to me, as if he'd just remembered I was sitting across from them. When he saw me calmly gazing out the window, his expression faltered, darkening inexplicably. He rapped his knuckles sharply against the glass, as though trying to draw my attention. As the Ferris wheel neared the end of its rotation, I prepared to disembark, but Ryan unexpectedly grabbed my arm again. He shoved a bracelet into my hand, his tone dismissive. "All right, stop pretending you don't care. It's not a good look. Consider this bracelet my engagement gift to you. As long as you behave, I'll give you the wedding you want. At least officially, the wolf pack will acknowledge you as my wife." I laughed coldly, meeting his gaze head-on. "And who are you planning to establish the mate bond with?" "Willow." Ryan's expression darkened instantly. Then he smiled smugly. "I knew you were just pretending," he sneered, stepping closer. In a low, warning tone, he added, "Let me make this clear. You'd better not breathe a word of this to either of our families. You can't even imagine what Willow and I share. She's pure and kind, nothing like you with your underhanded little schemes. If you so much as hurt her, I'll call off the wedding entirely." I stayed silent for a moment, then smiled. The irony wasn't lost on me. It was his own cowardice that kept him from telling my family the truth. He couldn't bear to part with my bloodline, yet he had the audacity to twist it as though I were the one creating trouble. Without another word, I turned and left.